On today's episode of WatchJRGo, the electricians are here. Well, they're not here at the moment. They've already came and left. But by the end of the day, you won't need to use echolocation to get around in my shop. What is going on, guys? I am WatchJRGo, and today, like I said, the electricians are here. They already came and realized they needed more stuff, like a 1-inch tubing bender, a few things like that, because we're actually running a lot of 1 in here. And they left, went to get tools, and they will be back shortly, hopefully with everything we need to finish this whole project today. Today we got here before the sun was even up, and I finished up getting this piece of unistrut up, and I'm finishing the very last one, and I realized we're two bolts short of having this job done. So you can see it's mostly completely mounted, but the end on both sides is still hanging down. I have to make one more quick run to Atwood's. Hopefully we both get back here at the same time. I can put my last 2 bolts in and they can start putting lights up and start running conduit. Now, I also realized I better call them because we need more 1-inch conduit, because we're gonna just go around the entire shop with one. That way all of the circuit drops are easy to make and everything's in one giant pipe. This video started at 7 a.m. It is now almost 6. It's been almost 12 hours, and in a second, you guys get to see some fun. I think right now you can see that we have lights up in the ceiling, which is awesome. We also have 220 outlets over here, a whole bunch of them. And when we're done with this right here, there's a 50 amp there, a 50 amp there, a 30 amp there, but when we're done, there's gonna be every single 50 and 30 that exists. There will no longer be adapters in this shop. So you guys can see we've got that. I think that one might be a 30, NEMA 15, nope, that's another 50. And another 30, 220. Basically every single type of 220, 30 and 50 amp outlet will be in here. So if you have to plug anything in, welder, car charger, whatever it is, you know, I always end up with random things with twist lock plugs on them, and I'm like, man, I'd like to try this out, and then we have to go make up a cable. We're not gonna have to do that anymore. This whole wall will have everything there is right there. And really, all we have left to do is hook up the AC power and drop in some outlets. Some of the quad boxes are set, and there's one giant home run to do still. And we're probably one wire nut away from showing you guys the magic. Now there's a lot more to do. These are actually all 0 to 10 volt dimming, just like the other shop was, and you'll be able to turn the lights up, down, whatever you need, and I'm super pumped about that. You ready?
Yes, sir.
Greg, up there on the ladder. Dave was here with us all day. Here's our control for 0 to 10 volt dimmer that's not hooked up yet. That is crazy for not even having the lights properly set up yet. Literally the entire middle is like pointing at the ceiling or hanging by the wires, because all the 0 to 10 volt stuff still has to be done. And that's gonna take another couple hours, so there's quite a bit of work left to do, but as soon as that's done, all the covers can go on and we're gonna have lights. Well, thanks, dog. Yep. You knocked this stuff out. But there's still more to do. We kind of thought it was a 1 day, but it wasn't a 1 day.
It's 2 day.
It's a 2 day, that's for sure.
2 day.
Yep. All of this 1-inch conduit here is going to have all of those circuits in it and the lifts and everything like that. So there's a lot left to do, but there's a lot done. Well, it is the crack of dawn the next day, and of course, there was no weather in the forecast. So I went to sleep and I woke up to rain outside my window, and I was like, oh no, this disconnects out of the air conditioner sitting over here, because I thought we were gonna have these all done today. All right, that's about as good as that's gonna get. Luckily, it's not going in the on position, so we can go ahead and put that in, put everything back together. Luckily, I had the elbow over here, so there was nowhere for that water to get into the liquidite. All right, disconnects all put back together. No rain in anything important. At least it was enough rain to start leveling out the dirt right there around the pads. Not mad about that, but inside the shop, I think it's going to be a disaster. I thought I had more room than that. That's kind of hilarious. Just tiny bit of tire sitting on the concrete there. All right, wait for it. Ah! Oh, it's not that bad. And it didn't hit anything important. That is awesome. I thought I was coming over here to dig all of these parts out of a giant pile of water. There's a little bit of water right there, but you can see the issue here is that garage door seal. First of all, the garage door seal is completely gone. When you open the door, there's only like half of the seal left, and I obviously wasn't worried about that because we're buying new garage doors, and they'll have the nice new black rubber seals with the little lines on the bottom. They seal so much better than these old doors ever did. So I really just wasn't worried about this happening because there was no weather in the forecast and doors are coming soon. But when I woke up and it was raining relatively hard, I was like, there's gonna be water in the shop. But there's more to the problem than that. From the front of where the epoxy is outside the door to here, just like that little 12, 16 inches, there's like a quarter or a half inch drop. You can actually see it dropping into the garage. So I'm gonna have to go rent a concrete grinder and profile the edge of that down. I'll put a bunch of tape in here. Hopefully we can get a perfect line that keeps the epoxy in the garage and outside the garage, fresh concrete, and then we'll grind it all down so it goes out and meets that new concrete and all the water flows away from the building. But today's cleanup, not bad at all. I'll pick all this up right now, make sure nothing actually sits in any water, and then let's get to work. We got a lot of work to finish up today. The water cleanup is complete. The dirt cleanup is complete. I picked up all of our piles of trash from yesterday. So now it's starting to look kind of clean in here again. Obviously we're gonna make a lot more trash as we keep going because we do need to go around the rest of the shop with all this 1-inch conduit on the floor like I said yesterday. I don't need it really clean yet. We'll do that at another date. Today, let's get up in the ceiling and fix some of this, well, tie in all this dimming. Another thing I wanted to show you guys, sometimes these lights show up like that. You can pretty clearly tell that that one is like completely yellow and that one is nice and blue, insanely bright. Well, what happens is the wires are all push to connect on these fixtures, and one of them, just one of them, will have backed out. So if you buy these contractor series fixtures from Lowe's, you're using them in your garage at home, something like that, check the wires, the 4 wires that go into the actual LED bar, just one of them will be unplugged. Plug it back in. And if it's worse than that, well, I get to take that one back down. I'm just guessing, but it's based on experience. We've fixed a few of these things. 3 of these fixtures showed up from Lowe's broken. So all the ones that are still in the boxes over there, and this one here, they were all broken. I scavenged another broken one, took one of the lenses off that and just put it on this light. So now all the ones we put in the ceiling here are finally good, and I'll return all those. We did go down to 5 lights a row. I don't know if you guys can tell. We were gonna do 6, but it looks really good with 5 because they fit perfectly in between each section. And if we did it the other way, it would have put them about 16 inches closer to each other, and they would have looked weird. Like it would have had lights in the middle of the trusses and stuff like that. I kind of like how we did it. It's nice and symmetrical. So the other problem was we were gonna have 18 amps and our switch can only handle 15 amps. Hopefully that's continuous because we're pulling exactly 15 amps on all these lights. 90 watts a piece times 20. It's a big load. You wouldn't think it was, it's just a bunch of LEDs, but it's a big load. I got 2 lights put together already, and today we are going up on a Tuesday. All right, now that we're nice and high in the air, I'm gonna show you guys how to wire up the 0 to 10 volt on whatever fixture you may be working on. It's always pretty simple. Basically, make sure your colors match up. Some 0 to 10 volt systems are like gray and purple, some are pink and purple like these are, and in here we also have a mix where it will go between them. So I am going black to purple, red to pink, and basically as long as we always stay black to purple, everything should work out. It's a very simple system. If there's 0 volts on the wire, dim the lights all the way. And if there's 10 volts on the wire, turn them all the way up. So it doesn't get much simpler than that. All we gotta do is get all of these tied together in basically a giant loop, and then the switch will supply the 0 to 10 volt, and do all of our dimming from there. And this switch is Control 4. It's gonna tie in with the Control 4 switches in the house. I know I said I'll talk about it later, but there's that switch. That switch is almost $300. But it's gonna be awesome being able to control every room in this house and this shop using those handheld remotes. And there'll be a remote out here as well, and I think we're gonna try to do remote music streaming from the house as well, so that you can play one source in every room, including the shop if you want. It's a little tricky when you start doing stuff like that, especially like music transport over Ethernet without spending a lot of money. I'm trying not to spend a lot of money, but you know, we're gonna make it work. So anyway, the first thing in our process here, these are our live 120 volt wires. Here's our low voltage. It's a whole class 1 system, so the low voltage can run in the pipe with the 120 volt. Basically, I just hold this up about right there. That's where I'm gonna cut it, so it'll reach into these WatchJRGos. And I am, since it's low voltage and it doesn't really matter, using those push-in WatchJRGos. I know those are the worst. And we can demonstrate our dimming down the line by just touching those two together. There you go. That's just 2 lights, of course, but we'll tie them all together and they'll all do it at once. Well, I sure am going to miss the modern look, but that's a 3rd row done and we're down to the very last one. It does look amazing with all the lights hanging by the wires, doesn't it? It's like something you'd see in a new hotel or Vegas or something really sweet. We thought about leaving it. All right, we didn't. I want the even lighting. But it is really starting to look like something out there. Unfortunately, I just ran out of wire. I was using 18.2 to do all this. I have some 16.2, but I don't want to switch it up in the middle of the job. I might do it. It's obviously doesn't matter at all what gauge you run this in, as long as it's enough to carry the tiny bit of current that it takes. But I really just want it all to match. So I'm gonna find out if I can get some more 18.2 really quickly and then get those last 4 lights hooked up. I actually have enough to hook up that one. The wire is to it, but they go in at the same time with those push connectors, so I don't want to mess that up. I'm gonna find out really quickly if I can get this sorted out, but what I did just learn, I went ahead and hooked it up at the switch, right? Red to gray, black to purple, just like we talked about, and we thought this switch was just like weak. I was like, man, it's not a very good switch. It takes forever to turn off. It was running its dimming. All right, ready? Off. The shop lights fade out. How insane is that? All right, one more time. I just have to watch it down. If it's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. I'm super pumped about the switch. And Monday, we'll have one more switch here to act as the Zigbee bridge to the shop. It's gonna go in the house, and that will let us start controlling this from the handheld remotes inside. And it's just gonna be nice. I think we might just end up doing full video distribution. That way, everything's connected, and no matter where you are in the property, you'll be able to have entertainment lights, all that fun stuff. So we're just going wild with the control while we build the place. And don't worry, guys, every bolt faces the same way. Every one of the switches on the light fixtures faces the same way. Every box connector, all the set screw connectors that go into the lights, they face the same way. They're tightened the same. As you guys know, the same way I build all of this stuff. It's nonsense. And I absolutely enjoy the nonsense of knowing that everything is absolutely perfect until somebody services it one day, and then it won't be. Unfortunately, the paint isn't so perfect. And now we can see traces of yellow where the paint didn't cover as well, since we have lights. Oh well, I'm not gonna keep painting, I'll tell you that. We are done with the paint sprayer in here. We finally have most of the overspray off the floor from the last just painting right over there, and we're basically ready to start throwing stuff in here. I want to go get my lev rack. We need some big trailers, and we can start moving into this shop and start working on cars. And just like that, we've got lights. Every light in here is finally set up, cleaned. I think they're all set to the same color temperature, but some of them have color abnormalities, which is definitely a little bit annoying. Like that, those ones look a little bit purple, but they're actually, I know those two are from a different batch. I actually laid them out together, and apparently when you buy these from Lowe's, you have no idea what batch you're getting. I have bought almost 30 of these over a course of multiple months, and somehow they're still different batches. So it's as good as it's gonna get. Actually, yeah, I can tell the color abnormalities are on the ones with the different decals. The ones with the purplish hue have the switches screwed in, and the ones that are perfect have the switches double-sided taped into the fixture. And the double-sided tape ones fall out all the time. Like, they're all junk. Everything you buy these days, no matter what it is, these are, you know, name brand fixtures, Lithonias. It's all still cheap junk, it doesn't really matter. But there's one thing left to do here to wrap this job up, and that is cut the old cheap LED lights down here. There's just one zip tie to cut. That's it. We finally have real lighting, and those boxes can go in the trash because all that Romex and all the old boxes, they're all going away. I know this building could have all been done in Romex. It would have met code just fine, but the pipe looks so much better. You have to admit, like, it is very pretty. At 100%, the dimmer was already getting really hot. And it's kind of weird because it doesn't actually have to dim locally, right? This is made for commercial loads. That's why you do 0 to 10 volt, because it moves the dimming out to the fixture and it takes it out of here. So the load side of this is literally just a relay, like on off. It doesn't do anything else. And then there's separate circuitry, and that circuitry feeds the 0 to 10 volts out to these. And like I said, like, there shouldn't be that much heat generated in this thing. But a while ago, it started randomly turning on and off. And I mean, we are at the limit of its capacity, right? We could be running over 16 amps. If I had an amp clamp here, I would show you. We could just throw it on the load wire there and answer all of our questions. But I don't. I just know that if the switch starts shutting off, it's probably overheating. So I turned it down to 50%. It's set to 50% in here, and it immediately stopped. I don't really need the 100%. It looks amazing in here. It's crazy bright. What I will do is up there on that junction box, which is where the switch picks up all the lights and the main power comes in, we'll add a relay. So we'll throw a relay in there that's made for lighting, and we'll be ready to rock and roll with unlimited load. I'll get a relay that can do 20 amps, and that will solve all of our problems instead of the little relay and the switch that wasn't really made to drive this kind of amperage. But with that said, we're gonna turn it off, and it fades out. Ah, it's so nice. And now, let's turn it on. The camera just failing. That tells you everything you need to know. It is absolutely daylight in here. And then we'll dim it, and hopefully you can see the difference. There's like 80, 50, plenty bright. I love it. And down the road, we'll be right back to 100. We anticipated that that switch wouldn't be able to do this much load. If we took one of these LEDs out, it'd probably be enough. But when we were talking about doing 24 lights, we were gonna add 2 relays and pull 2 20 amp circuits. It was just way overkill. So that's the other reason we went back to 5. And then we found out that you really still need a relay or a contactor to control this. But now the switch is just completely cool. There's no heat in the box at all. And earlier when it shut off, this thing must have been 100 degrees. I can probably even turn it up a little bit. There we go. That's like 70 or 80%. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop WatchJRGo.com for cool shirts, not like this, like the one I'm wearing under this. And please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Hopefully on the next time, we're bringing in all my stuff. I'm still waiting. They're gonna put outlets all the way around the whole building. So I might want to keep my stuff out of their way a little bit longer, but I'm gonna set all the boxes and try to speed them up so that they don't have that much work to do. I'll just come in here and cut the foam back and put the boxes in. It'll all look great. I did whatever I could to speed those guys up. And we're also putting an outdoor light on and the garage door openers. That's another circuit. There's still a lot of wiring to do, but lights were everything.